Hello there, sorry from 17 once again. This is my Dead Space 3 Impossible Difficulty video walkthrough. This is chapter 6, this is Repair for Ride. And I don't really like this mission. The reason for this is there's two sections in it which don't make any sense to me. The first one is when you first enter the hangar, because there's no point in it. Normally, in a Dead Space, when you enter a room as big as the one you enter on this, there'd be 3 enemies on one side, there'd be 4 enemies on the other, and then you'd be safe to do the puzzle. On this one, they seem to throw enemies at you for the first 10 minutes of the room with no real reason, no rhyme behind it. It's just, I don't get it. And because there's a lot of vents, because they can come from either side, the scripting and the pathing on the AI is fucking garbage, and it gets to this point where you don't know which vent they're coming out of, they don't know which vent they're coming out of, and you're just standing around like an idiot waiting for them. And I don't like that. I like it to be much more decisive, and it isn't, which is against it in my eyes big time. This section here, if you're wondering where I am, this is the place that leads to the conning tower. It's a side mission. I'm not going to be doing it though, because like I say, cookie cutter design, a lot of necromorphs, a lot of opportunities to get loot and better equipment, but this is just going to be, you know, a linear, pure efficiency run of the game. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to be doing many side quests on their hardcore run-throughs, mainly because it's just more opportunities for you to die, really. But once we've done this, we will be continuing on to the next bit. And as I was saying, the two parts about this level I don't enjoy. The second one is when you're running to the ship and there's the fire everywhere because the entire place is going nuts. The range on the fire is just, it's stupid. Sometimes you'll stand in licking range and it'll set you on fire. Other times you'll stand 10 feet away from it and it'll set you on fire. And then there are times when you can literally be kissing it and you're fine. So you end up putting yourself into these situations where you should be fine because you were fine last time, and this time it sets you on fire. And it's not a difficult section, it's just, for some reason, I ended up dying about 10 times on it because I kept getting fucked by the fire. I even got screwed by the fire on the very last bit because it's timed, and it's just... it's not very fun, but it's definitely interesting to look at, and it's a different way of approaching getting out of an area. I'm just not its biggest fan. And depending on if you're enjoying these bench moments, you're probably not the biggest fan of these videos because I'm on them quite a lot. And I don't do that much, you'll notice. I'm always experimenting to see if I've got different tips, if I've got different things. And right there, I noticed that I can use the revolver, so I pop that on the bottom of the plasma cutter because the revolver is really fun to use. My only criticism is it changes your aimer. And I would prefer it if it kept the 3 dots for the plasma cutter and put 1 dot below the center dot for the magnum. Because then there would be some finesse to the aiming, as opposed to just having a completely different reticle, which I think looks a bit shit. But there are a whole bunch of additional difficulties on this game, and a whole bunch of collectibles on this game. There's definitely a lot of things to keep you playing. And, for instance, the artifacts. The artifacts are the collectibles. When you find all the collectibles, you get rewarded with circuit boards. And the circuit boards you're rewarded with, you can build them once you've got them. And they are +3 circuit boards. +3 with +2 something else. They are extremely good, some of them. And if you're using the resource glitch, which I'm not going to be using at all in this guide, or if you've just got a shit ton of resources from playing the game, you can completely max out your weapons. Get all the bars to the top and stuff like that. It probably gets really ridiculous once you've equipped yourself correctly. I don't quite have the capacity to do that, but I've got the reload speed and the damage to max on 2 weapons, so, and that's both weapons, top and bottom tiers for 2 different weapons, 2 different, you know, collections of weapons. So I can see it being real good, real just crazy starts. But one of the things about co-op, if you've not played it, is the enemies get a damage buff, and rightly so, because 2 people shooting them, they should get a damage buff. I think they get a little bit more of a damage buff than I was expecting, because you come away from playing single player on Impossible, and then you play co-op Impossible, and shit just runs through your bullets. It really does. They run through your bullets like Arnie in Raw Deal, and it's just nuts. But we've got a talk bar. Or I don't have a talk bar, apparently. I thought I made one. Maybe not. Do I have tungsten? That's the real question, because it's one of those resources that kind of relies on all the good stuff, and if you don't have enough of it, you're kind of screwed. So I do have tungsten. I have 45, and right now my objective marker is on the optional mission, and I want it on the main objective, because I don't know where I'm going. And right there, the vent goes in. Interesting. That is the hunter. I don't know what he's doing here. The Magnum takes his leg like a baller, and then we can go upstairs. That is me cutting out yet another elevator. This planet is riddled with elevators like it's riddled with necromorphs. In fact, I think the lifts themselves and the ladders are probably the bigger evil, the greater evil to humanity, because they're so fucking boring, and they're everywhere. But when you come down here, you're going to hear some noises. There's going to be cysts, and there's going to be the whiptail guys. It's an interesting combination of enemies, because one is fast, the other one is extremely dangerous when he gets close. There's a lot of vents around you, but the AI doesn't really know how to handle this situation, and the game throws about 20 dudes at you for no real reason. So this sequence here is going to be extremely longer than it should. Why did I say extremely? Why did I modify that? I don't know why. It's going to be a lot longer than it needs to be, in my opinion. I think something's behind me, I just heard it then. So you'll notice I'm running towards these enemies. I risk taking a hit there because I can tell there's a cyst behind me. Sometimes you've got to do stuff like that, because if I would have stayed up there, he would have insta-killed me, and I'm not going to play with that bullshit. But right now, you would think that's it. Fight is done, but lo and behold, another noise. There's something else. And you know how on Family Guy, where they do a gag, and you don't think it's funny, and then they continue to do that gag several times, and you still don't really think it's funny, and unless it suddenly becomes funny, you just really don't enjoy that episode? Well, that's kind of what the enemies are like on this section. You kill them, they keep coming. You kill them, they keep coming. And, you know, someone needs to put a sheet down. But there's a part in the Carver missions where you've got to do some specific things in those sequences, and if you don't know how to do them, you will be killing enemies forever. And the worst part about it is both of you are doing this. In reality, Isaac is fighting necromorphs. In Carver's mind, you're fighting phantom finger baby things. And look at that. That dude is practically a bit of foreskin and a fingernail put together, and he's still trying to kill me. Watch how much this douchebag takes. Then he does a double backflip. But I don't find this... Look, another one! Another scream! Why? Just why? Why can't they just say no? No. Done. Why is there so many? I don't get it. I really don't get it. But once again, we've got Mr. How the hell are you still alive once I've knocked all your bits off? Just look at this. And somebody mentioned the other day on a video that I was watching that the necromorphs are faster on the harder difficulties, which I don't know if that's true. It'd be interesting if it is, because it's a really, really cool difficulty balance, but someone will have to leave a comment if you've noticed, if you played on normal or casual or wherever the lower one is. Because I think maybe they'll attack faster or they'll be more aggressive, but I don't think they'll be slower, because they would have to animate them differently. Or tweak a couple of values, I'm not too sure actually. But what we're doing in this room, if you're curious, aside from shooting an endless fucking spawn of stupid cysts and nonsense, we're going to be collecting these pieces so that we can open the front of the craft that's in front of us and mess around in there for a module. Then Ellie makes a mistake and we have to run the hell out of dodge. There we go, another one. It's just unnecessary. I don't know, maybe I got a spawn glitch here, because this game is rife with glitches if you've played it. Everybody seems to be having different ones. Half of the time they're completely cosmetic and stupid and don't really affect the game, but sometimes they're just so weird. Really silly stuff happening for no reason. That right there was a ninja spawn. Once again, highlighting an issue I have with the necromorphs. When they're a mile away, they sound like they're behind you. When they're behind you, they don't make any sound at all. They're silent assassins. They've all been trained well. And this guy, Jesus, got a real good chin on him. And we're once again back into red life territory. But the weapon customization on this game, once you start to understand it, starts to get really interesting. I still don't think any of the guns look as good as they did on the second game. In fact, I don't think they look as good as they did on the first game. They've somehow managed to make this robust customization system buck ugly, because everything you craft looks like a piece of fucking Lego with a barrel. Not a fan at all. Like all the... I don't get it. And I haven't upgraded my armor, so I don't know if the armor looks different either, because when you go to the upgrade screen for Isaac's suit, it shows him getting extra layers of like the armor, the concrete that it looks like it puts on him. But a friend of mine's upgraded some stuff, and he says you can't even see those bits, which, if you can't, that's really disappointing, because the whole point in getting those parts and putting them on is so that you can see them. The cosmetic appeal. This chair. Oh, goodness me. This is the systematic deconstruction of my chair, by the way, boys. I can't even explain to you what's gone wrong with it, but at this moment in time I am precariously balancing so that it doesn't make too much sound. I do not recommend it. But this guide has been really different for me. Different in a lot of ways, and don't know if I like it, not too sure. I'm excited for it, and I'm probably going to share my thoughts, because right now the game doesn't really know what to do, because it's thrown all those enemies at me, and now it's got bored and decided not to do any more. But when I was at my girlfriend's last week, I was there until I got this game. I came back because of this game. And when I was looking on her internet, I noticed that a lot of people had got it early. All the walkthroughs were going up really quickly. And it's because it came out in America on Tuesday and it came out in England on Friday. A lot of people were getting early on the American day, which is even earlier. So it was already all over YouTube with very, very little hope of, you know, being first at anything and getting on all the search engines. So I was a little down on the game when I was at my girlfriend's. The prospect of coming back and recording it when I'd already got, you know, such a handicap. Oh, this is stupid as well. These whiptails, they get stuck, as they often do, and I'm trying to find a good position so I can cheese them without putting myself in danger. So I wasn't really looking forward to the recording process at all. I was looking forward to the game, because I'm a Dead Space fan. I just wasn't looking forward to this process that I'm in right now. And it's not because I don't like making videos and I don't like making guides, it's just literally because of how much Dead Space there is on YouTube right now. And it just makes me think that this is going to get overlooked and it's probably not going to get found. And that's the sad thing about YouTube sometimes, guys. You'll notice anybody who's interested in building a channel, they will not do personal projects. Everything is business. People will literally avoid doing a game or stop covering a game and mid-playthrough if it's not performing well. They'll just axe it. And while I do have a couple of ongoing series that should have been finished years ago, I'm going to try and finish everything I put on here. And not everything I do is going to be popular. I've accepted that a long time ago. But when I got back and I got this, I got on immediately to play with Aiden. We started doing the co-op. We got to... Where did we get to? I think we got to this section. We got to around about here before we stopped the first night. Because I got back late. I got back about 8 o'clock at night. We played until about 1 o'clock in the morning. And because Aiden is working a job where he gets up early and he's, you know, all burly and manly and things, he gets tired early. So I would have had full intentions of not stopping playing until I'd beat it. But he got tired and we called it a night. So what I did instead is I started a new character, a different save file, and I started playing through the game solo on Impossible so that I could kind of play it at the same time but not play stuff that I'd not seen. So I started doing that. The next day I think we missed because Aiden's schedule for something, I'm not entirely sure what. I think his girlfriend came round or something like that. And the next day we missed. we played, and we played all the way up until we got to volantis. We got middling way through volantis, and we stopped again. And I started playing a little bit more on my solo file, and I actually got up to the point where we were on the single player. And because I didn't want to play anything more, because I wanted to experience it with Aiden, I started recording the guide. So I went back on a third save file and I started recording. And within the space of a day, I'd recorded all the way up to where we were. I'd recorded pretty much the first 14 chapters of the game, so pretty much nearly all, 2/3 of the game recorded. And we started playing today, and I was hoping we'd finish it, but we've got to pretty much the second to last level, and that was a couple of hours ago, like an hour and a half back. So instead of carrying on, recording what we just played on the guide and then waiting for tomorrow or whenever we're going to finish it, I decided to do some commentary. And it's not a good way of working, it really isn't. And if anybody's interested in that co-op playthrough, Aiden's recording now. He's got a HD PVR. I think he's got a mic, I'm not too sure. He's not edited or made a channel or anything, but he's planning to. And once we've finished it, you will be able to see the playthrough. There has been a lot of weird shit happen on this playthrough, and depending on how Aiden edits it, or depending on which were the successful runs, which were not the successful runs, will depend on what you see. But if you're interested in watching that, when he does start uploading it, I will try and remember to post a link to it so you can see it. You will not be watching me play, you will watch me go down and run around and cock block him, get in the way, ladder blocked, partner blocking ladder, partner needs more space, the game, all the other things that it says on the co-op. But you'll get to see it, and you'll get to see the exploration process of a blind playthrough from a different perspective, kind of like riding on Metal Gear Solid 2. But it's just put me in a really interesting perspective, because I have never got a game early and been this late on uploading a guide. I've never done it, but then again, this is the first time I've done something like this, and the main reason why I don't normally do this is because of this very reason. And I'm not placing blame, I'm not blaming Aiden or anything like that. It's not his fault, it's just how it's managed to turn out. But the next game is going to be Metal Gear Revengeance. I think it comes out in 8 days. I think it's a week on Tuesday. And hopefully that's going to be a good one. I'm still going to be playing this when that comes out, so it's going to knock me for 6 going back into an action game after playing this, because Isaac is really sluggish on this game. If you've been playing fast games, it's deliberate, it's intentional, but he's very sluggish. And it used to make sense, because the necromorphs used to be reliably speedy. They didn't have, super turbo mode. They didn't all pop NOS and suddenly they're up your ass before you know where you stand. Some of them did, but not all of them. This game, a little bit different, and to compensate, they've given you the ability to crouch, which does nothing aside from, teabag enemies and do silliness with co-op friends. And they've also allowed you to roll, which I call super sexy action time, which is equally as pointless, because the roll gives you no iframes, so the only thing it's going to do is extend your reach out of the way of an attack, which is already going to hit you because the attacks have such an area of influence. For instance, there is a snow boss, the snow beast I think it's called, the one you fought on the demo. He turns up a couple of times during the game. He's a bit of a dick. The biggest problem with him is he does the flame lurker technique of being a douche. He'll charge at you, he'll knock you down, and during the animation of standing up you'll take more damage from him. And it's because when he's in his attack animation, even when he's stopped running, his entire body is classed as a weapon. So if you are anywhere near his leg when he's finished his attack and you're standing up, it's going to be as if you're being hit by a static baseball bat. Or it's going to be as if you're wrapped in razor wire and you move into it and it cuts you, and a cut on impossible kills. So it makes those fights kind of frustrating when you fight that dude, because if he knocks you down, 90% of the time you're dead, because you can't get back up without being clipped. There's nothing you can do, you're out of control. It is literally the game showing you the middle finger. And I would have preferred it to just be a one-hit kill, because half of the time it essentially is, and it just seems a little bit trite that they give you the hope of being able to get up, but it's completely out of your control if you get up unscathed or not, which I'm not a fan of, but it's how they wanted it to be. so be it, I guess. But that's one of the things about this one. I think this game has terrible bosses, and Dead Space has never really been renowned for great bosses, but they've always been kind of good. Like, the first game had the Leviathan, the big pizza monster with the tentacles. That was kind of crap. Then there was the Brutes that were kind of classed as sub-bosses. I enjoyed the Brutes. I need a t-shirt that says, "Where have the Brutes gone?" And we need to send a mass email to Visceral because there's no Brutes on this planet. And I don't know if the Brutes came from rugby players who became necromorphs, or people that were over 500 stone turned into Brutes. I'm not entirely sure. Pregnant women became Brutes. I don't know, but they're gone, and that sucks because I like them. Then there was the turret boss on Dead Space 1. He was interesting in a kind of Star Wars completely stupid way. And then there was the last boss, which I actually thought was really good when it didn't spawn enemies. When it started spawning enemies, lost a lot of respect for it. Oh, by the way, guys, this is the bit. So, this sequence is probably going to play out very different for you, because every time I did this when I died, the enemies were in a different spot, the hunters were in a different spot. Sometimes the fire killed them, sometimes it didn't. It seems really strange, but what I do recommend is crippling this hunter as much as you can, because it means that he will not follow you as quickly, and if you don't have him to worry about, you don't have to worry about much. But there's the recharge on the stasis. There's the ladder cop blocking me because the detection on this game is really annoying, especially in co-op. Down here is an upgrade on the wall, but I've already grabbed it when I came through on a bit I've probably edited out. This bit here, you've got to run directly forward and call the elevator. From here, the regenerator hunter guy is going to come up those stairs. You can hit him with stasis and take his legs. The elevator does take its time. I don't think you're in any threat right now from anything else except for a really slow lift. And this is the bit that kept catching me coming up. You get off this lift, you go to the right, and there is a blast of fire, and the range on this fire is obnoxious. Sometimes you just set on fire for no reason. It sucks. Do not waste any time as well. As soon as it stops, you need to run past it, because if you stop to fire, you don't have enough time to get out of the blast before it does it again. There is the hunter guy. Stun him. Notice how the fire's not killing the necromorphs now I'm in the shit. You notice that? Always happens this way. This, you need to manually control it so that you point across the way. Don't panic though. This is a lot more intimidating than it actually is. It just looks real intimidating. It's not that bad really. It's just the fire. If the fire clips you, you're dead. And it's frustrating. But it's pretty simple really. So coming out here to the left, watch this. There's no fire, but I know it's going to come up. And if I ran, I guarantee I would have died. Because the game's just like that. And I didn't want to risk it. So instead, I wait, checking my back. As soon as it's gone, I proceed onwards. And the irony of this, it took me maybe 5 or 6 tries to get this done. On my first try, I died in this room. Because I went round the other side when there was no fire. And the fire turned on and killed me. I was so gutted. I'd done it in one fucking take, and that fire just cheesed me right at the end. I was not happy at all, guys. Ugh. But that is one of the more, shall we say, risky situations conquered. That's one of those moments on hardcore that if you're nervous, you're probably going to make a mistake and it's going to cost you. But hardcore mode on this game does not sound nowhere near as intimidating as it did before, because not only can you do it in co-op, but you can back up your save, you can probably quit as I've mentioned. This sequence here, try to keep all the necromorphs away from you, obviously, and if you see the explosive barrels, prioritise for the barrels, because it generally cleans the entire room when they blow up. And just enjoy it. This is a little bit of catharsis. It allows you to somehow kill the unkillable hunters. And I don't know why I don't just shoot the window out and suck everybody outside, because whatever this room is supposed to be, whatever these rotating things are supposed to do, they're not working. And my buddy Aiden said something kind of funny on this section. What the hell would we have done if these guns weren't here? Because look at this. It's nuts. It's like a family reunion in necromorphs. But it was never going to end well, and as you can see, we're about to get sucked out of the plane from wherever the hell we are. But nice little pirouette. good form, and it's into 0 gravity. So I discovered something in these sections when there are the... I can't remember the name of them. Are the creepers? Lurkers? I think they're called lurkers. The things that used to have the baby faces that now have the Valley of Defilement face. When they fire their projectile at you, when the projectile disappears, it doesn't really disappear. It is still something that will damage you. So if you're still in the way of it, regardless as if you get hit by thin air, it will damage you. I have a video up on my channel called Phantom Range, poking a bit of fun at it, but it is documented proof that just because you can't see the attack does not mean it cannot damage you. So be very careful with that. This area right here, if you explore it, there's probably a cache somewhere. There's probably a secret room of some sort. That's a mine trying to catch me. I could hear it just then. But like I said, this is not me exploring, finding everything. If you want to see me doing that kind of thing, I will be live streaming this game after I've made the guide. I'll probably be live streaming a lot of it. My classic run, my pure survival run, and my hardcore run probably. Obviously not in one sitting, and not all that close together, because I don't fancy getting burnt out on this game. But once they've finished talking, we can proceed onwards, and then we will be on chapter 7.
Hey, Rosen, I'll meet you there. Whatever.
And I can't quite tell if this game is longer than the other ones. It feels longer, but I don't know if that's because my mind is still calculating the optional missions and a lot of the backtracking and some of the areas where they use the same geometry. Should have edited that out. There's no reason why I did that. I think I'm supposed to go inside this and then mess about with the different area. I am indeed. So all that's going to happen here with the looks of this is we're going to travel to the new place, which is the Roanoke, I believe. In this... Oh no, we're going to Greeley. Recover a port engine for the Crozier. Yeah, there we go. But you'll see that in the next video, guys. So thank you for watching. I hope the guide's helping. And you take care now.